All right. So welcome to our session, everyone. I am so excited you are all here, eager to kind of figure out some fun things in Zoom. So just a couple of housekeeping things. The chat goes direct to me. So I'm going to kind of be keeping track of the chat and then sharing that with our speakers so that we're not having a lot of, side or distraction conversations. You are welcome to leave your video on if you want. If you would rather have it off, that is fine. We do ask that you make sure that you are muted, just so we don't have audio distractions, barking dogs, etc. while we are presenting. Each of our speakers will take some time at the end of their session to kind of answer some questions, get any feedback, take care of things. And we also have a resource file that you received in your email. And I'm going to pop that also into the chat so that we have that. And those are just some kind of help tools. So that's the download folder for you guys. And I also wanted to add, while we are all journalism school folks, I just wanted to promote some of the things that they're doing over at CTE. So that's that secondary link for some other workshops that are upcoming. So without further ado, some introductions. I am Heather Lorenz. I am the Senior Digital Media Trainer at the Journalism School. So I mostly teach our students graphic design and video and all the things. But this summer, I'm getting to spread my wings and do some other training. So our speakers today, both from the Journalism School, are Associate Professor Carol Holstead with the cat on her head. She's going to show you how to do that and be fabulous. And Dr. Yvonnes Chen, also an Associate Professor at the Journalism School. And she's going to break in and talk about some more of the advanced things that you can do inside of Zoom. So without further ado, let's hand it over to Carol to talk about all of the presentation tips.
Hi, everyone. I am going to focus on a few different things today, mostly that have to do with performance and presentation, how you look, how you sound, and also some tips for you for doing things like virtual backgrounds and also showing slide decks and doing that well on Zoom. I'm going to start with how you look. Now, and I do have a slide deck, but I'm going to start with how you look. So give me a second. I'm going to turn off my Snap camera. And the light that I'm going to tell you about, I'm going to turn that off. And a lot of times when I'm in Zoom meetings or I see this is what I see. Hi. I'm teaching a class today. Now, I can barely look at myself like this without feeling like I have to immediately seek medical help. So, no. So, it's very easy to solve this problem. And you do it with you can do it a couple of ways. So, I have slides about this that I will share with you, but I want to just tell you that really the easiest, I guess I'll go ahead and start sharing my slides. So how to solve this problem? Lighting does matter a lot. And I realize I'm a visual person and I teach a class that has to do with, photography. I think a lot about light, but a lot of people don't think about light. So without an artificial light, the absolute best light you can do is light that is in front of a window. You never want to do this, where you have a light source behind you. When you have a light source behind you, then your face goes dark and you're essentially seeing a silhouette. Same with side light. Side light just isn't an ideal light because you can't really see your full face and expression. So you can sit in front of a window, but another alternative, if you don't want to have to deal with that, is you buy yourself this inexpensive ring light. And I this is the light that I recommend. I'm also providing you with my slide deck today. And also just a shorter abbreviated handout that has this information. But this ring light is $18 on Amazon. And it's got 3 settings. And so you can go from none to medium to high. And it adds that even illumination that really will help to make you look more polished and professional. What you're trying to do in Zoom is really it's kind of a cross between performance, but also conversation. It's not a classroom. You don't have that thing where you're standing back and walking around. I mean, I could walk around, but be like, hi. We tend to be sitting. For some people, it might be more comfortable to stand and really raise their computer up so that they feel more professional. But you have to find that professional performance stance. If you're going to Zoom lectures and record those, or you're going to just Zoom with your class at home, if you're having a casual conversation with them, you're workshopping, sitting down is fine. It might be what you do in class. But if you are lecturing to students and going through slides, then you really need to set yourself up in a way so that you look polished and professional. So lighting is a very good place to start and an important place to start. The other thing you have to do is you have to put your camera at eye level. Most people, I mean, if your laptop is just sitting on your desk, you're looking down into the camera. This also doesn't look very polished or professional. It looks like you're sitting and looking down at a camera. It's also not, I'm just going to say it, it's not the most flattering view. It is not how we look at people when we're in class. We're not on high, speaking down to them while they're looking up at our chins. So you raise your camera and it will help to create more connection and also a more polished presentation. Now, there are a couple ways you can do this. You can use books. You can use big books. I've got some big books. I have a big book here, but I would need a lot of books, right? I have this big old book. I would need a lot of books to raise my computer. What I did, I got the school. I admit it's a $49 thing, but I bought a laptop stand. Now, some of you may be working at fixed, you might have computer monitors in which the camera's probably higher already. But if you're working on a laptop, and I imagine a lot of you are working on laptops, then you will want to find a way to raise your laptop. Now, what I got was this. I don't know if I'm trying to find a way for you to see it. Here it is. It's a laptop stand that has really, I have to say, it's changed my life. It's whoopsie. It's this one, the new Laxi laptop stand. It is a little more expensive. You can find a lot of laptop stands online. Some of them are cheaper, but the advantage of this particular laptop stand is that you can not only raise the back, but you can raise the front. So right now, it has many different positions. This comes all the way down, and yet you can tilt the back all the way up. So for me, it's also become a much more ergonomic way to type than typing with that laptop flat on the ground. In fact, I've discovered that with the stand up very high at eye level, it's much more comfortable. My arms and my hands are raised, and typing at this level is way more comfortable than it was when I was typing with my hands down on the table. So I highly recommend this stand. It is a little bit more expensive. Maybe you can talk your school into buying, or your department into buying it for you. But if not, I think it's a really good investment as something to have in your home to make your workspace and your work life easier, even when you're not Zooming. I'm looking at my notes. That's one thing I'm going to talk about, is you really have to print your notes out. And I will explain why. Background. What are you going to put behind you? I'm in my office, so I have books behind me. I really like this space, and I'm going to hope that I can Zoom here a lot. When I'm at home, I Zoom in my office/guest room, so people see a bed behind me. Personally, I prefer, this is just me, I know not everyone is comfortable with this. Not everyone wants students to see their spaces. But when students see us in class, they at least are able to locate us in a space, right? So when we put a virtual background behind us, it sort of dislocates us. You are now more in outer space. So I'm going to escape this for a second. I'm going to I will tell you how to do this, but I'm going to turn off. I'm going to stop sharing for a sec. All right, so I'm going to change my background. And I'm going to show you how to do this. So you know that there are these various backgrounds, and I'll show you how to get there. They come with backgrounds that are the Golden Gate Bridge. I'm not in San Francisco. Grass, outer space, really, planet Earth. I added a video. So here I am in a cornfield. I really, really like cornfields for some reason, and I like to walk into them, but not when they're so tall I'm going to get lost. So, and this one piece of corn was slapping me in the face. So now it's slapping me on the back of the head. But this is silly, right? I mean, I could have a still photo of a cornfield. I have those. But for me, this is not, I personally prefer to have my actual background in my background. Certainly you can download a lot of images. KU, if you go KU, you Google KU virtual backgrounds, they give you tons of options that are KU related backgrounds. I suppose you could take a picture of a classroom and put a classroom behind you, like a lecture hall behind you, so that it kind of feels like you're in the classroom. There would be other options besides this silly cornfield and the options that they provide. So how do you do this? If you want a background, this is a screenshot that I took of myself yesterday. So you can see right now I have clicked, you click here on video on this little menu. This menu gives you these options. And you click on choose virtual background, right? You can pick one of their backgrounds, or if you want to upload a photo of your own, you click on this little plus sign. This is not something that is would be obvious. I like how they have little plus signs places and you're supposed to know what to do with them. But if you click on that little plus sign, then you can upload images for your virtual background from your computer. Now, if you're a silly person like I am, and I am a silly person, you might want to have a cat on your head or some other filter. So Snapchat has a camera called Snap Camera, and Snap Camera has all of these filters that you can select from to put different things on your head. So the way you do this is it's very easy. You just Google Snap Camera and it's a quick download. You click on that and that thing downloads. And the next thing you know, you've got that camera on your laptop and you open. So once you've got it, you open the app on your computer. You pick a filter, and I suggest that you play with all of them because it's fun. You open Zoom. You click start video, and then you may have seen in that earlier slide that you can see once you've downloaded the Snap Camera actually shows up in your video options. You download it, and then you can select the camera and you can select a filter. Here's one that I like very much, in which I have a turban on my head. Now, I wouldn't wear this through the whole of class, but I do feel kind of determined that at least with one class, they all download the camera and I get some sort of gallery screenshot with everyone wearing a different filter on their head. So, you can see, what happened to here we go. You can see right here, the Snap Camera. So here I am. It gives you all these options. It gives you categories that you can use, featured ones. This is work from home ones that I was selecting the cat from because everybody seems to have cats on their keyboards or dogs walking through their frames.
Carol, we actually can't see those right now.
You can't?
No.
Huh. That's weird. I'm sharing my screen. Wait, let me go back and see what's happening here. Oh, my screen is being paused. Why is it being paused? I'm going to try that again. Sorry. One thing you can't worry too much about is messing up while you're online. This is not going to be a seamless process. Now, can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know it paused my share for some reason. Yeah, so you can see all of these options. They've got a work from home option, characters. I won't try not to get too sidetracked into trying these, right? Okay, I am going to try this one and then we'll stop. I like to entertain myself. All right, I will stop now. I will stop sharing. Yeah, anyway, so Snap cameras. This is all things you can do to liven up your presentation and make yourself look more polished online. Just a word about sound. At the moment, I am just using my built-in mic in my laptop. I got a brand new laptop because I was due for one, so maybe my mic is working a little bit better. I do have, though, and I'll just show you what happens. Why do earbud cords just somehow magically turn themselves into knots? Despite your best efforts to keep them knotted, it's It's very silly. All right. So, Heather, talk. I need to know I can hear you.
You can hear me now.
Oh, yeah. Now, I don't know. Do I sound better to you guys?
I always think so. Yeah.
Okay. And one of the things that, in terms of engaging students, is just if you all look down at the bottom rail of your screen, of your Zoom screen, you see that little happy face that is reactions. Does everybody see that? Well, if you click on that, you can click a thumbs up or a clap, right? Even when we don't see your face, if we're just seeing your picture on the screen, this is a way of getting students like, can everybody hear that? Can everybody see that? And then you can click on a reaction. All right. Yes. Yay, Steve. Thumbs up. All right. So you can hear me better. I don't mind being tethered to this cord. I feel because we're not super mobile in our Zoom screens anyway. Okay. I'll just leave this on. And I'm going to go back. Whoops. I am going to go back to sharing my screen. Everybody can see that, I'm assuming. Yay. All right. Yeah, if you're on video, there's always the actual thumbs up, which works really well too, or as another option. Okay, we're done with fun. Now let's talk about showing a slide deck. Just a couple points, things that I figured out by accident. So if you're showing a PowerPoint, in some of my classes, have created PowerPoint slide decks, and I write my notes into the slide deck. Are you guys familiar with that option to write your notes in? What I discovered, though, is when you're in a classroom and you're showing a PowerPoint slide deck with your notes written in presenter view, you see the notes, right? But everybody just sees what's on the screen. If you have that presenter view going, when you're in Zoom, everybody sees your notes. There's no way to present that. PowerPoint should come up with a fix for that. That would be awesome. But there's no way around that when you're in Zoom. So one of the things that I'm going to do with all of my lectures is I'm going to print out my notes. Now, I don't have an iPad or a way to download them onto that. I'm going to have to be old school and use a printer, which I have done here, right? And students will probably see me, and I'm going to just say in class, I have my notes printed out, but this is how I'm presenting. I am the kind of teacher, I've been at KU 30 years, and I am the kind of teacher who is like, I want students to see behind the screen, like Wizard of Oz. I don't want to be hidden back there. I want them to know what's going on so that they understand what I'm doing and what my process is, and teaching them and creating lectures and everything. Oh, and one other point for you that I've also discovered by accident in Zoom, if you are going to play a video in Zoom, like say you've got a video embedded in your PowerPoint slides, or you're just going to go to YouTube and show a video, you have to click this option, share computer sound. If you don't click share computer sound, students will see the video, but they will not hear the sound. And that means you could also, if you wanted to play a song from Spotify or play some other music, you could do that as long as you have share computer sound selected. And I'm assuming then when that's recorded, that will record that sound also. So that's a workaround. I know that some I was hearing from Heather that there are people who are working, who really need that sound to play. And if you are recording videos, I don't know about Camtasia. I have used Kaltura, but if you're recording your lectures in Kaltura, it won't record the sound. There isn't a way in Kaltura to record the sound that's on your computer. So an option, and one that I may do, is instead of using Kaltura, is I will just record my lectures in Zoom. That way I can share the computer sound, and that will, I think that will be easier to record that lecture that way and then download it. If you guys didn't know, you can have meetings with yourself, which I have done so much lately just to try to really figure out all the things Zoom. So have meetings with yourself and get comfortable with Zoom, get comfortable with the lighting, figure out what to do with your laptop, and also, you can experiment with showing your slide decks and recording sound. And you can even record those if you want to, as I said, if you want to record your lectures that way. A couple of other tips I'm going to offer I'm going to stop sharing. All right, I'm back. Connecting with people via Zoom. I think I'm hearing that some people feel more uncomfortable than they do in class. I do teach public speaking in the J school, in the journalism school, and I have a lot of experience speaking. But I found this a little weird at first too. For one thing, we end up being self-conscious because we can see ourselves, and we can't see ourselves when we're talking in class. And so that's a very awkward and uncomfortable thing. But here's the other thing, is we tend to look at ourselves. See me? I'm looking at myself while I'm talking. Now, do you see what I'm doing? I'm looking at the camera. If you look at the camera, then you're not looking at yourself. Now, obviously, if students in the class are on video and they start asking questions, you're going to be looking at them, and that's unavoidable, just like you would in class. But it helps to look, and it will help you be more connective, especially at the beginning of class. It will help you if you can look at the camera. Okay. Now, I think it's hard to remember. It's a little green light. If it's hard for you to remember to look up at the camera, cut out a picture of a person's face and tape it to the back of your laptop so that you are looking at, so it reminds you to look at that face up there as the person you're talking to, rather than looking at yourself, right? And another thing, as I was I skipped over this, the selfie light. You're going to have an impulse to put it right around your lens. But if you put it around your lens, you're going to get a little bit of a halo effect on your face. So what I recommend is that you just clip it to the side, a little bit to the side of your camera. So there's still plenty of room there to put a picture of a person up behind your camera lens, so that you're speaking to that. So you're speaking to a person and not looking at your own face. Otherwise, I think you just have to relax and be yourself. As I said, I'm a goofy person. If anybody, Jamie's had me for class, knows that. Like, I'm that person who one of the things that I've been doing in class is like, well, I can't hug you in real life. That's not good, but I can hug you in Zoom, which is how I tend to end class almost every time. Yeah, I do. I like to get up close to the, where is this thing? I can't see the camera. There was an excellent SNL episode where they were doing the whole, everything was online, and there were a couple of people who were like, I can't, is this thing on? Can you? And then one person started to take her laptop into the bathroom, and people were like, no, we can see you in there. Don't do that. So, okay. So that's all for me.
Oh, well, Carol, we have some questions for you.
Do we? Fire away.
Okay. So we had a question about how do you mount the ring light? And I was also thinking, talk about, there's different kinds of ring lights, aren't there?
Yes. So I did a bunch of research. This is actually considered it's also a selfie light. So for people who feel that they must take lots of pictures of themselves, they can put it on their phone and then they can light their face and look beautiful. This is the lowest level of ring light, right? This is a ring light. There are lots of ring lights. Professional photographers use ring lights to shoot pictures of people and portraits. The journalism school has a really big one. And so what you're going to find if you Google ring light, you're going to find a ton of options. This is a clip-on light, see? And you can just clip that right onto the top of your laptop. It could not be easier. It is operating on a battery, and you do need to recharge that battery, but it just charges with a regular USB port. You just stick it in, and you can stick it into your regular USB port and charge it. If you have a laptop that, you can plug it into your laptop, it's got a cord that you can plug into your laptop and have it on. But I'm finding that the light holds out for well over an hour, unless you just haven't charged it recently, and then it's going to die on you. So this is a $20 ring light. There's another one that's even cheaper that I've seen that's $13. I don't know, $13 maybe, made by the same company. I think I would probably go for the slightly more expensive one. But after this option, your next option is to buy a more expensive one that sits on a tripod. And I don't want to have that whole tripod set up with a light on it that I have to deal with. I just want this light right here.
Okay. Then there are some questions about, so how am I getting the direct chat to come just to me and not to everyone else? When you are the host of any Zoom, you can just use the 3 dots that are in the chat window. So you bring up your chat window, and across the 2, there's a drop down with 3 dots, and you can choose participant can chat with host only. So the advantage of it is, in a situation like this, I'm the host, I'm getting all the chat. I don't have to concern my speakers with chat going along. But if you wanted someone else to monitor the chat for you, they would have to be made host, which means you lose some management function. So I thought I would answer that. Then we have a lot of discussion about different methods besides printing out notes to kind of get your speaker notes. So we have someone who is using a smaller Google Doc window where they have their script in it.
Right.
And it kind of, it cuts up to screen real estate, but they're using that. We have people who are using multiple screens, or they have a dual monitor they're using.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have any of that. Yeah, in a great world, I'd have 2 monitors. I'd have a space station with all the things, but yeah, I don't. I just have my MacBook Pro.
And then we have
good suggestions.
Yeah, good suggestions. And then I personally use my iPad for notes, but someone has mentioned that there's actually a function where you can convert your iPad into a teleprompter. So if anyone has an iPad, that is a pretty good thing. We had a question about the system requirements for Snapchat.
Oh, good question.
I did look at those briefly. I don't know if you've experienced differently, but it looked like it was pretty generic.
Yeah, I don't know. I would have to. I can Google that and look it up. But I won't waste time doing that right now because I don't want to cut into Yvonne's time. So
people were loving the Snap camera. There's a lot of, I'm going to have to read this one, Carol, directly as it is. I can confirm Carol is goofy in class and it is amazing. Okay.
Thank you.
Then we have an OMG. She is crazy and I am loving this presentation. Best training ever. I've never LOL'd in any training. Thank you for making this fun. So that's what Carol does, makes it fun. One question we got, and I think I might have chatted this, but when you were showing the share sound button.
Right. I saw that question. It's so as we discovered, Heather, it's really aggravating that when you share your screen, you can't share the Zoom screen to demo where things are. But I will show you again. Yeah, Heather, if we hadn't talked yesterday about you guys can see that? Okay.
Looking at your PowerPoint, yeah.
Right. If where is it?
Is it in the share screen window?
Yeah.
Okay.
So when you go to share screen and you're picking your screen, right down here in the corner is share computer sound.
Okay.
I don't know what optimized screen share for video clip means.
I would guess it would make it move all of the energy or whatever over to playing that video clip. I'm guessing. Someone asked, do Zoom videos sync with Blackboard as seamlessly as Kaltura?
Well, I feel like they do because they get loaded into that KU Media Hub. I posted Zoom lectures after, because I was teaching in the spring. I was teaching synchronously and asynchronously. So I would Zoom and then I would record the lecture, and it was as easy to upload as Kaltura videos. I was really glad. Okay, I'm going to tell you right now, this thing is dying, and this is very disappointing because I had it charged. I think what that's going to mean is that I'm going to have it plugged into my laptop while I'm using it because I've run out of gas here in 40 minutes.
Uh-oh.
And some people did say that in the comments. But anyway, I'm really happy that I made that accidental discovery yesterday about share computer sound, because I think it solves a lot of issues. That it does make Zoom an easy choice for recording videos, recording your lectures, even if you're going to just record your lectures and not actually do them synchronously. If you just want to record a lecture and upload it to Blackboard.
Okay. And final question I think we have here. If you're sharing the computer sound, do you need to turn off email notification sounds?
I don't know.
I would guess you do.
But I'm going to guess that any other sound that might be coming through your computer, students are also going to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you have any other questions, we've got so many awesome tips. If you have any other questions, hold them to the end and we'll come back and kind of do a full Q&A. So we are actually going to just do a little stretch as we transition from Carol to Yvonne. So I'm going to get
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. So I know a lot of you might have been sitting for more than 40 minutes right now. So if you would like to stand up, or if that's convenient for you, obviously, today your legs hurt, feel free to remain where you are. Let's just do some gentle stretching to get our body moving and awake it, knowing that we are deeply connected to our being. So this is the trick I know a lot of you have been using. And by the way, it's so good to see a lot of familiar faces. I recognize a number of friends in the School of Music Honors Program and the School of Business. Of course, there are some friends I might not have recognized your name fully, but again, welcome to our Zoom session. All right, now you're done with your stretching. Feel free, if you feel like you want to stand up and listen to this and not come back in front of your computer. No worry about that. So now that we have beauty up ourselves, we know that the lighting will work for our desktop. And what's next? How can we fully take advantage of Zoom's additional features? Well, let me start with a really quick story. 2 summers ago, I took an online mindfulness course with the University of Massachusetts School of Medicine. That was my very first time encountering Zoom. And I was really thankful for this experience before we all went remote teaching last semester. In this online 8-week course, we actually have a 3-hour Zoom session once a week for 8 weeks. And we have friends and students from all over the world, from Brazil, South Korea, Indonesia, Bali Island, and of course, people from all over the coastal areas too. So can you imagine managing, I remember it was about 80 plus students in that online course. Can you imagine managing a 3-hour long Zoom class in an online setting? So that experience really firmed up my idea of how we can use Zoom effectively. So I used almost every tip I learned from that course into my 100 people class last semester, and I'm going to show you how. So today we're going to go to 3 specific tips. The first one is, we're going to start from the baby, the easier one, to the a little bit more advanced. Of course, some of you may have already experienced with some of the features. So here's what I am going to do. I want to start with a poll for everyone. So right in front of you, you will see 3 questions. If you could answer your questions and vote it on that. So you're now able to view questions. And on my screen, which you don't have access to, it is telling me that only 2 of you have answered it. Come on, 10% now, 14%, 15%, 23, 25, 26, 30, 35. This is a really quick method to see whether or not your students are engaged with you. Now we have 53% of votes that come in. Let me see whether I can make it as exciting as a November presidential election result. 60%. So we have about 62% voted, 64. So you will see 3 questions right here. All of them are categorized as a Likert scale. 70% right now. If I hit 80, I'm going to stop this poll to see who else is being attentive or not. 80%, I finished, I hit my number, and I'm going to stop that right now. So then I'm going to end the poll, and what will happen is it gives me instantaneous results, and I can share these results with all of you right now. Here's something that has happened to a little poll feature is sometimes students will tell you, I can't click on the poll. And so this has been a tricky sort of issue that poll has sort of emerged. And I will talk about that later. As we can see right now from all the people who voted, we got 44 votes right here. Some of you have the familiarity with Zoom, about 34%. Then you have about 41% who are not as familiar with the whiteboard. And then the breakout room, I'm sure you have experienced this a lot in your meeting. So we have a little bit more people familiar with this function. So what this means is for me, I would probably spend a little bit more time on whiteboard and probably skip the polling and the last function. So this gives me a really quick idea of how to do it. So this is really for those people who may not be familiar with the polling right now. And I'm going to show you how to do that. So as you can see, if you go to your setting right here, a quick reminder, please, 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 I know we're not talking about any other function yet, but just say if you have your whiteboard and annotation disabled, please make sure that you enable that function. The same thing with polling function as well, that you want to make sure the polling section, you actually move it from the left to the right. Okay, so this is the very first thing you do need to do. Zoom does not give this one to you unless you actively go for it. So please make sure that you do that. So after you're done, here's what you can do. You can go to the meetings. And I'm just going to go to some of the examples I have set up. And you can scroll to the bottom of your Zoom. And you will see you can add or edit. So Zoom allows you to include multiple polls. And that's a really cool thing. And you can also do it in and during your class. So sometimes you may want to cover concepts that students, you want to test, are they really getting this concept about target audiences? And so this will be a really good one that you can add this function. So it could be a quick quiz, for example, even though it's not the real one. I prefer having anonymous, knowing that a lot of my questions may be of the anonymous nature, and I really want to encourage participation. So this one is, are you staying awake right now or not? Perhaps. The question you can do yes and no. You can do single choice, multiple choice, every Likert scale you have. One thing I noticed is it turned out that poll may only limit you to close-ended questions. If you know otherwise, please chime in and let us know in the chat. But as far as I know, everything seems to be close-ended by nature. You can add questions, and then you can save or cancel. So you can edit here. This is the one I already have. As you can see, I have a 5-point Likert scale questions right here. So to launch that, unfortunately, this Zoom meeting setup doesn't allow you to do that. So one thing you will need to do is go back to the Zoom and then ready and launch that poll. So what you would do is, for those of you who will become a host, you only get to see it as a host. There's a little one, and I show this to you in my PowerPoint, so don't worry if you cannot find it on your screen, because you can't really see it on your screen. But to launch that as a presenter, speaker, or instructor, you have a little polling thing on next to your share screen. So just click on that, and then you can launch it. But just one thing, a really, really quick reminder, if you have multiple polls, please make sure that you select the correct one, okay? So take your time. Just think about ways you can incorporate Zoom polling option as a way to add that interactive component to that. So this is our number one polling aspect. The second one is the whiteboard function. So the whiteboard function is also really interesting, but it's really easy to do. But again, don't forget to enable that. Under the share screen, as you can see from Carol's previous slides, she actually has a whiteboard next to the desktop sharing. So if you click on the whiteboard, which I'm seeing this right now, you now will see basically a blanket, a beautiful drawing canvas for you. I wonder whether we have any performing arts or school of arts or design professors here. Maybe they will be happy to draw something for us. But this is a really quick way if you need to type in something and want everyone to show. So this is something you can do. So this is something I really appreciate when my mindfulness instructor showed this to us. She actually took her time to let us know how to use it. So I encourage all of you to start drawing something right now. You can type in text, you can draw something. So I may have a very bad Italian Tuscany landscape over here. Does this remind you of the Microsoft 95 version of the Paint? You know, this little thing. Of course, if I don't quite like it, I can also erase it. So you can pretty much spend a lot of time trying to make this one really work. Oh, sorry, I drew over the holiday tree. I apologize. So this is something you also can do is I can clear my own drawing so I can preserve this beauty right here. So if you can see what's on top of you, it looks like a lot of you are playing with the text, the draw function. Some of you are doing the spotlight function, which I really appreciate. Is this spotlight, you can basically spotlight a specific place, and then it will feature that. So it will be kind of easier to direct participants' eyes toward that specific aspect you would like for them to do. Of course, if you only enable the whiteboard function, but not the annotation, guess what? Only the host get a chance to write and inspire. So please do enable the annotation function, because this is the one that will allow all of you to contribute to the process. So this can be a really quick time to ask each other, how are you doing? How, do some quick checkup. And if you want everyone to see this, sort of peer sharing right now. And I think that can be a very, very wonderful approach. By the way, you also can save the drawing if you want to, or any notes. So that's the one aspect I will definitely ask everyone. I love that whoever is plastering heart all over must be a very kind and generous person right here. It's okay, you can reveal your identity. We know how kind and generous you are right now. All right, so I'm going to clear everyone's drawing. Again, not to make you feel bad, but I'm just going to let's move on to our next section. Again, more detailed screenshot of how this is done is provided in that PowerPoint, which is now a PDF version, in the link that Heather just shared with you. So fear not, you still get a chance to play with the whiteboard function, okay? So then, the third thing, if I'm going through a little bit too quickly, please do let me know. But again, feel free to write down your questions and we will do our best to answer them toward the end of this section. Okay, so a lot of you are familiar with the breakout room. You were in one. And some of you may have extensive experience putting people into a breakout room. But again, I think Zoom is a kind of tricky part when it comes to breakout room. I had colleagues who are scared of putting people into breakout room. And here's how I use it to do breakout room. I made sure that I give my students plenty of time to have a conversation. Especially the pandemic really threw everyone out of the whack. Some of them actually went back to really unsettling home environments, and some of them just did not have adequate internet access. And because my courses have always been in active learning by nature, I do very little lecture, but I give a lot of workshop time for my students. And I also make sure that our courses are designed with the backward design principle and active learning concepts. So I know that by maintaining this teamwork, collaborative style will help provide a sense of perhaps normalcy for my students during a very difficult transition for them, and also, to be honest, for all of us right here. So I really use the breakout room function to the extent possible. My version, however, may be a little bit different from how you might use it in your courses next semester. Because I have a pre-planned, preset teams. My teams already were made at the beginning of the semester. They went through team collaborative exercises every time because I really take a lot of time building teams. We do live in a big community, don't we? So I know that the breakout room function can help maintain and give them the sense of normalcy to help them feel like they can still contribute to something, even though the world is very chaotic right now. So what I'm going to do is to go through the slides that I designed to show you what it might look like on your back end. Because again, this is the back end that unless you have extensive experience, it's kind of hard to teach across screen. So breakout room, like I mentioned, is very good for team collaborations, ideations, anything that you want people to have a space for a close to face-to-face contact opportunity. So you will see a number of screenshots right in front of you, and there are some decisions you will have to make. Okay, so let's assume you don't have pre-made teams. You really want to have discussions to kind of break it out, this sort of long lectures you might have, or you just really want students to sort of generate some ideas and bring it back to the whole class to share. So there are ways to do that. So you will see breakout rooms, even though you're a participant, on the bottom of your screen. So that's the very first one on top. Once you click on that, you're able to assign participants either automatically or manually. So you want to do the random assignments. Just put people randomly into the breakout room. Choose automatically. But because I have a pre-planned, I already set up my teams, I had to do them manually. But again, there is also a trick, which I probably won't go through it today due to time constraints. But for those of you who are thinking of preset teams and you want to keep the team structure in your breakout room, contact me. I do want to show you a trick that I have to go through and just to figure things out. So if you're feeling that, I don't have time, I have to put people manually or automatically or create breakout room, you can actually pre-click that create breakout room. I mean, it's not going to mess up your Zoom conversation. So once you click on it, you will see the screenshot on your right. Again, if I had enough people like all of you here, I would be able to kind of simulate a little bit. But because I got no participants, so I can't really put everyone into room. But let's take a look at the screenshot a little bit carefully. On the far right, you will see assign. So once you click on it, there will be a number of names that pop up. So you can assign people manually, even though they do it randomly, you can still kind of override the decision. For example, if some people, they may have some verbal arguments. So you may feel like, let me just put them into different rooms for now. You can also randomly assign. On the screen, you will see options. So once you click on it, please, there's a place where you can set how long you want the breakout room to be. Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm not seeing a screenshot. Are we supposed to be seeing? I'm not quite seeing that.
So that's, again, it's always a good one. Clearly showing the desktop version is not really helpful here. But now let's go back to this one. Can everyone see it? All right, no,
we're good. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So this is the breakout room. Click on this. You can create breakout room. And then this is the one I just went through. When you click on breakout room, click assign. You can assign people manually if you want to and override people. And then once you click the options here, this is another screen that pop up. It gives you this opportunity to set how long you want the breakout room to be, and then whether you want to have a countdown timer. Usually the default is 60 seconds. It just reminds people that, hey, you got 1 minute left. Wrap it up the conversation. We will send you back to your room. So that's the one that I just went through. Do you want to do that automatically or manually? How do you want to assign? One thing that I learned is that when internet may be unstable and students can get kicked out of the Zoom synchronous classes. So one thing I noticed that when I try to assign people, I sometimes have to ask them to leave the meeting and come back again. So it reflects on my top right-hand side assign section. So just a little thing that I have to figure out a way to kind of navigate through that process and can decide on the time. Obviously, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And I know some of you may be using multiple breakout rooms. So just make sure that you double check the times. Maybe the first breakout room is checking with your teammates, say hi to each other for 5 minutes. Then maybe you do a really quick workshop lecture. Then maybe the next breakout room is the teamwork time. Maybe you want to give them about 45 minutes to work together. Please don't forget to change this one. There are times that I just forgot to change the times. And yeah, I have to close it. And so just take your time. No one is pushing you to do things all at once and all perfectly. And the good thing is try it out. So again, I really like the random assignment. My School of Law colleagues say that their students love this function as well. So these are the 3 things I covered: polling, whiteboard, breakout room. And for those of you who may feel a sense of comfort by talking a lot into the camera right now, I would strongly encourage you just to try something out. Try the polling function out a little bit. Try the whiteboard for 5 minutes. The thing is, we are not doing a YouTube high HD level production here. I mean, none of us here is famed YouTubers who relies on these YouTube ads for a living. So the thing is, I know we have expectations for ourselves, and I know we have a lot of perfectionists here. But the thing is, any little active learning aspect to get students participate is a great method. Like Carol said, I mean, we are learning right here to be professional. We make sure we have the right lighting. And then these polling, whiteboard, and breakout room function just adds a layer of interactivity. They break away some of these sort of, so give you a little breather. So before answering your questions, I do want to have a quick reminder for the breakout room. It's interesting because when I was taking the online mindfulness course, and we would have 30-minute of breakout room or 45-minute at a time, and I thought, what would the instructor be doing? Like, what is she doing right now? So remember, a lot of us love to answer students' questions while walking classrooms, especially when teams are working. So for those of you who haven't tried it, in the breakout room, you can actually put yourself into different breakout room and leave that room whenever you feel like it. So I use that function to answer students' questions. And what I usually will do is I will be collecting a lot of group level questions, but I really want the class to have an understanding of what were asked. So what I would do is I'll bring the whole class back before sending them home. Well, they were probably already home at the time, but I would have a class level Q&A just to make sure everyone's on the right track. And this works really well, especially I'm doing workshop, active learning based course all the time. So these are my quick sort of show and tell. And now we have some questions. First from Jamie. Jamie did mention that she couldn't click on the poll. I know that this could be an issue, but then she was able to figure out, yay, Jamie. One thing what I did learn that students were forced to have to put an answer to the polling question. They do not have the choice to skip it. So just keep this one in mind. If they skip it, Zoom does not allow them to click on the second and third or fourth question. Just something to keep that one in mind. So if you couldn't see edit as an option for the poll aspect, only start or delete, maybe go back and shift off your polling and turn it on again to see whether it will change. If not, let me know. I'll be happy to troubleshoot it with you. Third, the question is, if you have a co-host, can they launch the poll? Yes. Heather and I, we actually tried it. As a co-host, I can launch the poll actually, or no?
I didn't think, I didn't think it worked for you to launch the poll, and that's why we had you do co-host, because co-hosts can't launch polls or do whiteboard.
Got it. So,
but there is a way, like if you are host, like what Yvonne and I have done, I just made her host, and then at the bottom of my participant, there's a button where if I've made her host and then she gets awry and gets strange things afoot, I can just reclaim that and she loses her privileges. So there are ways where you can have almost two hosts within. You just can't have two hosts at the same time, if that makes sense.
All right, so our conclusion here is only host can launch the poll. So this can be a really good way to have your GTA help you out. Put them as a host temporarily. But please make sure that they do give that right back to you. So remind them that you need to be a host again. Our next question is, how do we go from lecture to survey and back? Specifically, how do you queue it up? So I like to do polling at the beginning or to the end because in part because it doesn't quite interrupt the rhythm. It can help set a tone, or it can help add that summary toward the end of your class. So what I usually do is, because I just shared my desktop screen at the beginning when I did my Zoom, what I would do is make sure that you share whatever you want to share. It could be your PowerPoint slides or keynotes or Google slides. Make sure you have that. Maybe you share your Google Chrome, for example, or you share that file. And then you can always click on the zoom.us little thing, the desktop version, if you have it, and click on that and launch that poll. But I like to do it at the beginning or at the end so I don't mess up my rhythm and I can make sure everything's queued up. But again, as you can see, I don't have to be perfect. I gave up the idea a long time ago. If I mess it up, it shows I'm a human. And I think students really appreciate that we don't have everything figured out. That's at least my philosophy. You may think otherwise. But I feel like by showing the side that I can get frustrated, I was disappointed, or I was also worried during the pandemic, I think it shows students that, wow, we are human too. So practice, or you can practice with me. All right, now the next question. I'm sorry that we do have to cut through your lunchtime. So some of you were unable to annotate or weren't even able to send me a chat message. So the question was, does this have something to do with how I logged onto this presentation? Could it be because I logged into my KU Zoom account and didn't click on the link provided to you? So turned out that some of the participants weren't able to annotate nor chat. But one solution to that, thank you again for sharing this with us because we're all learning this together, is a solution to this inability to annotate or post any reactions could be just logging out and using the link we provided. And then students or attendees were able to post reactions or annotate. So again, those are like really typical IT jokes like, oh, ma'am, have you turned off your computer and turned it on again? That's the first thing in customer service they will always tell you. So I would usually ask you to please just leave the meeting and come back. So hopefully it will work. So thank you for sharing this wonderful insight with us.
And I wanted to mention, like when we were practicing that, I had ran a whiteboard as a presenter, but it's different as an attendee. So I had to make sure when she was sharing her screen with that whiteboard that I went up to the view options button. So Yvonne, do you want to go into a whiteboard again? You're still host, so. Okay, so you can see the whiteboard is up. If you hover at the top of your screen, it says you are viewing Yvonnes Chen's screen. And if you click the drop down by view options, just make sure you click on annotate. And then you're going to get that window that has all those annotation tools. And that should probably help those of you who were having trouble. Does that, give me a thumbs up for those of you who are looks like, yeah, we're going to town now. They're going crazy, Yvonne. We missed that. That would be, oh yeah, look at that. They are ready to go.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Again, the host has a very different view from attendees. So going through this with all of us is very helpful. Perfect. So the annotate aspect.
Yeah. So you would want to coach your students where to go into that. Yeah.
All right, so I am going to stop sharing. So not to take all the fun out of you, but I know a lot of you are juggling a lot with families and crying cats or dogs aside, so I want to be respectful of your time. So one final question is breakout room. Someone said that she was putting a breakout room in my summer class and others saw the countdown clock and she didn't. Does just one person see it or do they all? I believe the countdown clock was seen by all my students in my countdown, in my room. And as a host, I got to see enable the countdown clock, and then they will be back in a couple of seconds. So as a host, I get to see how many seconds are left. So I believe this could be a slight glitch. But again, one thing, by the way, for the breakout room is students can actually click on call for help button. So then when I visited a different breakout room, and then if I see, hey, team or room 21, is asked, has a question. So I can actually go to that breakout room directly through that interface. So that's been very helpful. You also can broadcast in breakout room. So that can be a really good time if you want to manage students' time. You can say, we only got 5 minutes left. We only got 3 minutes left. So these are the final tips I want to share. Again, we are so happy to see a lot of you, and we hope that some of our tips can be fruitful for your journey next semester.
Excellent. Okay, so to wrap up today, I just wanted to address one question that I got, and it was about sizing presentations. So a general full screen is 1920 by 1080 pixels. one of our professors, and I think this is genius because it gives you a little more screen real estate, uses a 4:3. So in pixel dimensions, that is 1024 by 768. So you can set up inside of like PowerPoint or Keynote or whatever you're doing, those different size ratios, just based on what you see and what you like. I'm a 1920 by 1080 girl, but like I said, our other professor likes to do other things. So I will open this up for any final questions that you might have.
I have a question.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, blurt it out because I presented. So I'm taking license. So if you do that smaller aspect, so what you're going to see is you're going to see your slides, but it's not going to fill the whole screen. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
So when you go full screen with your PowerPoint, it's not filling the whole screen. And then that would allow you to click off of it, right? Without having to close it out.
Correct.
Okay, that's great. That's good to know. I think that's helpful.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions as we wrap up? Okay. Well, I am going to hang out here for a minute. So if you would like to stay and ask questions, we will hang out for a few more minutes as we're wrapping up, but hope that you enjoyed this. And I will be doing some post-production on our recording and send this out to you so you will have this to review. So feel free if there's any wrap-up questions. If not, have a wonderful afternoon.
Thank you, everyone.
Yay, I love the applause. Thank you, guys. I love real waving, too. That makes me very happy. Applause and waving.